Welcome to GED Math in 30 Days. In these tutorials, I will show you how to solve many of the GED math problems using the TI-30XS Scientific Calculator. Welcome to GED Math in 30 Days. My name is Jeremy Tinsley. I'll be your host today, and today we'll be covering some of the most commonly missed questions on the GED exam. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you like, comment, and share. Make sure you visit my website, passgedmath.com, to purchase the incredible ebook for the low price of $19.99. It'll show you how to solve some of the most commonly missed questions. Okay, so today we'll be going over the most commonly missed questions on the GED exam. And one of those questions is how to find the slope. So in previous videos, I showed you how to find the slope from 2 points. Today, we're going over how to find the slope from an equation. It's almost guaranteed to be on your GED exam. So first of all, the first two types that I'm going to go over today are slope-intercept form and standard form. So if you see on your screen, do you see y equals 7/3 x plus 5? Okay, so if you notice, slope-intercept form is y equal mx plus b. Okay, so if you notice, if you see an equation that starts with y equal, okay, and then you have some type of coefficient in front of your x, and then some y-intercept. So if you notice, it's very simple. So whatever in front of this x is your slope. So the slope of this equation is 7/3. That easy. So I know you've watched videos. That's how easy it is to find the equation if it's in slope-intercept form. The y-intercept is 5. So to find the slope from an equation, if it's in slope-intercept form, all you have to do is every coefficient in front of the x is your slope. So in this case, it's an improper fraction. Your slope is 7/3. Not hard or difficult at all. Let's look at another problem fairly quickly. Let me clear the screen. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Again, as we look at number 3, again, you should notice that it's in slope-intercept form. Again, what's in front of the x? -1/3. My slope is -1/3. What's left? +1 is my y-intercept. That easy to find the slope given the equation in slope-intercept form. But looking at my Facebook form, what I realized is sometimes on the GED, they don't give you the equation in slope-intercept form. It's at times they give you the equation in standard form. So let's look at some problems in standard form. Again, I'm going to show you how easy it is to find the slope from an equation, whether it's slope-intercept or whether it's standard form. So we're looking at number 2. And the easiest thing to do, I know we've been studying how to find the slope, but watch how easy it is. So first of all, we got to recognize is the standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c. So if you notice, your a is 5, your b is 3, your c is 24. Again, your a is 5. Again, we're talking about the coefficients to the variables. Your b is 3, and your c is 24. In order to find the slope, you don't have to solve for y. You don't have to move one side to the equation. You don't have to do all those things they show you in class. Like in class or some adult education centers, what they'll say is 5x plus 3y equal 24. You subtract 5x from both sides. The 5x cancel. You have 3y equal 24 minus 5x. Then to get the y by itself, you got to divide by 3. And you get y equal 8 minus 5/3 x. So this is the way you taught in class. So with your slope, again, they just changed the order. So it's really minus 5/3 x plus 8. So your slope would be minus 5/3, and your y-intercept will be plus 8. But guess what? And many times with sign numbers and dividing, we make mistakes. So guess what? I'm going to show you a nice, easy, succinct way that you can figure out the slope and the y-intercept by just looking at the equation, by identifying whether it's slope-intercept or identifying whether it's standard form. So again, so let me erase what I have here and let me show you how easy it is. So again, we identify our A, B, and C, and the slope is just minus A over B. So minus, my A is 5, my B is 3. I'm done. I found the slope. That easy. Minus 5/3. That easy. We didn't solve for y. We didn't move from one side to the other. All we did was plug in A and B. Again, so watch this. C, or C over B, is equal to the y-intercept. So again, the y-intercept is C, which is 24. My B is 3. 24 over 3 is 8. So I know my slope. I know my y-intercept. So my equation, so minus 5/3 is my slope, plus 8 is my y-intercept. My equation in slope-intercept form is y equal minus 5/3 x plus 8. Look at how easy it has become to figuring out the slope from equation. But guess what? I'm even going to make it easier for you. I'm even going to show you a much easier way than that. Watch this. So let me erase the screen again. Again, you still have to identify your A, B, and C. You still have to identify your A, B, and C. So it must be in that form. So again, if they try to change the order of your variables, you got to make sure you have AX plus BY equals C. So let me show you another fast way to figure out your slope from standard form. Watch this. Whatever your A is, just take the opposite of that. So our A is 5, so we're going to say negative 5 over B, negative 5/3. Look how easy that is. I'm done. I'm fast. I'm gone. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on that problem. But this is 2 simple ways to solve an equation. Find the slope from an equation. So let's try another example. Again, watch this. So first of all, let's look at 4 and 6. I'm going to do these fairly quickly. And you can pause the video at a later time, but watch this. Okay, this is standard form. AX plus BY equals C. And as you get used to that, what you'll notice is A is minus 1. So I'm going to take the opposite of minus 1, which is 1. And then I'm going to take B, which is 3. My slope is 1/3. So that easily I found the slope. 1/3 is my slope. Again, to find my y-intercept, C over B. Now, if you notice, they forgot the equal sign here. Supposed to be an equal sign here. So minus 6 over 3. And my y-intercept is negative 2. Look how easy it has become, okay, to find the slope from an equation. So, and the reason why I want to make sure I wanted to go over this is because so many people get this problem incorrectly on your GED exam. So let's look at from the GED study guide. It says, what is the slope of the line represented by the equation 3x plus 4y equal 8? Well, I just showed you how to do it. AX plus BY equals C. So we know A is 3, B is 4, C is 8. Take the opposite of A, which is negative 3, to find the slope, divided by B. That easy. Look at that. Not even 30 seconds. Okay, so that's how you find the slope from an equation, whether it's slope-intercept form or standard form. You need to be prepared to do a problem like this on your exam. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Okay, good. The next thing I wanted to go over is, Again, we want to use those same concepts. We want to use those same concepts to graph a line. So what we'll do is, let me increase the zoom. Let's just get one in view. So we'll do this one here. Y equal 3/2 x plus 3. What you should notice right away is that this is slope-intercept form. So get in the habit of, when you see an equation, identify whether it's slope-intercept form or whether it's standard form. So this is slope-intercept form. Y equal mx plus b. Identify what's in front of your x. That's my slope, which is 3/2. Now remember, we can also figure out the slope as rise over run. My y-intercept is plus 3. So I'm going to quickly show you how to graph this equation. Remember, to graph a line, you must at least need 2 points. Well, we already know 1 point, because remember, the B is your y-intercept, or where the line crosses the y-axis. So we know where the y-axis is. Oops, I'm sorry. The y-axis is your vertical axis here. So it crosses at plus 3. So let me change my color to red so I can identify it, so you can identify it on the graph. So I have my first point right there. Actually, you know what? Let me grab a point. Let me drag my point tool. So plus 3. That's my first point. That easy. Okay, when you're given an equation, your first point should be your y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. Well, how do we get our second point? We're going to use our slope. So again, we're going to use our slope. Remember, the slope is a constant rate of change, rise over run. So let me explain something that many students get incorrect on the exam. This is why I wanted to show that. So if you notice, I'm gonna write over here, it says our slope is 3/2. So that means I must rise 3. That means I must go up 3, and I must go over 2. Now, if I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm off my graph.
You gotta go down.
So I'm unable to, right. So what happens is, since the slope is positive, what you must understand is that 3/2 is the same as -3/-2, because 2 negatives make a positive. This is very important, and so many students get this incorrect. Make a positive. So instead of 3/2, we're going to use -3/2. So my rise is -3. My run is -2. So that means I'm going to, rise is up and down. Rise means to go up. So if the number is negative, that means we're going to go down 3. So let me change my color so we can draw my arrow. We're going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And then the run is -2. So normally when the run is positive, we go to the right. Since my rise is negative, I must go to the left 2. Okay, and I'm gonna put my second dot. Let me change back to red. And now I have my second point. And since we only need 2 points to make a line, I now can connect my 2 dots. Okay, that's not perfect, but we'll try to correct it a little bit. Let's see right there. Oops. Change it. That's how easy it is to graph a line. First, you must identify whether it's slope-intercept form or whether it's standard form. In this case, our equation was in slope-intercept form. So the second step, identify what the slope is. Whatever coefficient is in front of your x. So in front of our x is 3/2, so our slope is 3/2, with 3 being our rise and 2 being our run. Next thing we did was identify our y-intercept, which was plus 3. So how did this go on the graph? First, we need 2 points. So our first point we already know, it's our y-intercept. So we put that at plus 3 on our y-axis. And then using our slope, we will get to our second point. So in this case, we had to change our slope to -3/2. That's very important. So let me reiterate myself again. So -3/2 is the same as +3/2 because we wouldn't have enough room on our graph to go up 3. Okay, so we went down 3 and over 2. Let's try another one fairly quickly. Let me clear the screen. And let's find another slope-intercept form fairly quickly, and then let me see if I have any standard forms. So here, so let's try to figure out this problem.
Mr. Tinsky,
Yes,
I'm sorry. Can I ask you a question? Um,
yes, you can.
if the slope is negative, now is your run always
Right?
negative? Like,
No, it just depends upon what the slope is. For example, that's a wonderful question. So let's look at number 4. What's our slope? So this is slope-intercept form. What is our slope for this equation?
-8/3.
-8/3. So this is important. So remember what you just said, the question you just asked. So it's -8/3. Well, -8/3 could be -8/3, or it could be 8/3. So your question was, is it always negative? No, it depends upon your graph. So in this case, we could use rise as -8 and your run as a +3, or we could use our run as a +8 and our run as a -3. So it all is dependent upon what our y-intercept is. What is our y-intercept?
+4.
+4. So our first point on our graph is going to be a +4. So this is very important that you understand that. That's a wonderful question, Anna. So +4. So now if our slope, if we tried to use this slope, let me change my color. If we tried to use this 8/3, so our rise is +8. Can we go up 8?
No.
No, we cannot. That's why we didn't have to use this version of our slope. So we
Mm.
have to go, so our rise is what?
-8.
-8. So that means we have to go down 8. So that means we're not going to -8 on our y-axis. We're going down 8 from our point. So let me change my color and let me change an arrow. So we need to go down 8. So 1, 2,
4.
oops, let's not use black. Let's not use black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my rise was -8. My run was what?
3.
+3. 1,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3. So this is what's so important. We went -8, which was our rise, and we went +3. And now we can, let me change back to my red and get my point. And now we have our second point. And now we have our line because we only need 2 points. And that's not, to scale or correct, but I'm trying to go through those 2 points. Let me see if I can right there we go.
So,
And that would be our line.
so why couldn't the run on the other problem you did before this one been positive? If it was,
Well, it could. Okay, so remember the previous problem, the slope was positive, but since we couldn't go up +3, it wasn't enough room on a graph. That means the only way we could go is down. So we had to change the slope the other way. So instead of +3/2, we use -3/2. Why? Because 2 negatives still make a positive. So our slope still would be +3/2. We're just using -3/2.
okay.
Got me?
Yes.
Okay. So let me see if I can find one where we have to graph one in standard form. Again, it's very important. Let's see if we have one. I don't have one in standard form, but it's the same thing. What we would do is find the slope, find the y-intercept, graph your y-intercept first. Now, on the GED exam, they want you to be able to read a graph. What is the equation of the line? What is the slope of the line? what is the y-intercept of the line? So what we're going to do now, the next thing we're going to do is, given a graph, we're going to obtain the slope, we're going to obtain the y-intercept, and from those two things, we're going to obtain the equation of a line. So it's very important that you understand the two things you need for an equation of a line is you need the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so what would the y-intercept, let me make this a little bigger, maybe not that big. What would the y-intercept be for this line for number 1? What would the y-intercept be?
1.
+1. So our y-intercept is +1. Because why? Understand with the GED, it's a standardized exam. You always identify what's given first. Identify what you know first. So we know this line is crossing the y-axis at +1. So our y-intercept is +1. The location of that point will be 0, 1. So remember, the y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. So our y-intercept is +1. Now, I'm completely lost. How can we find the slope from this line? They only gave us 1 point. How can I find the slope? Does anybody know?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. Okay, rise over run. But we need 2 points first. We only have 1 point. How can we find the second point?
Up, you go up.
So what
Up and
location is my,
over 2 over 3.
exactly. So what we're going to do, and this is a mistake that many people make. Let me get my tool, change it to red, get my point. So what we want to know is, as we're going up and down this line, as we go up and down this line, we want to identify points that have whole numbers for x and y. So watch this. You have one here. As we go up, we have one here. Okay. Now, a line has an infinite amount of points. We only need 2 in order to identify the slope. So it doesn't matter what 2 points you use. And I'm going to show you that right now. Watch this. So if I use this first point, I always pick the leftmost point out of my 2 points. So in order to get from this point to this point, I got to go up 1, 2. So that was +2. So my rise from this point is +2. Rise over run. And again, I would recommend continue to write down your formulas until you can commit them to memory. +3, +2, I mean. And then our run is 1, 2, 3. Yes, you are 100% correct. So our run is +3. So I made a mistake there. If you notice, I put the run as +2. I was jumping ahead of myself there. So my rise was +2. My run was +3. Now, what I want to show you is, again, it doesn't matter what 2 points I use. Watch this. I'm going to use this point. I'm going to use my first point and my third point. Watch this. I'm going to use my first point and my third point. And I'm going to show you it does not matter, because what the slope is the constant rate of change. So watch this. I'm going to start from my leftmost point, and I'm going to get to this third point. So I got to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So here my rise is a +4. So again, rise over run. My rise is +4. And then I need to, how can I get to my second point? I didn't have to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since I went to the right, that's a +6. Hold on, that's not the same slope. 2/3 and 4/6. Is that the slope? Is that the same thing? 2/3 and 4/6. Are they the same slope? I'm a little confused. You just said they're the same, but they look different to me.
Reduce
That's
it.
because
There's
you got to
yeah.
reduce to lowest term. So 4 going to 2. I mean, 2 going to 4 2 times, and 2 going to 6 3 times. Now look, we have the same exact slope. So now we have our 2 things that we need. We have our slope, which is 2/3. We have our y-intercept, which is +1. So what would our equation be of this line?
Y equals 2/3 x plus 1.
Perfect. Y equal 2/3 x plus 1. That simple. Again, what we had to recall, first of all, is what was given. First of all, when we look at this line, we notice that it crosses the y-axis at +1. That is our y-intercept. The second thing we must know is they gave us a line, and a line has infinite points, but we only need 2 in order to find the slope. So we look along that line until we find a point that has whole numbers for your x and your y. And then we use rise over run to find our slope. Again, let me change the color one more time. I'm going to use the second and third points just to prove to you it does not matter what 2 points. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. So no matter what we have, our slope is 2/3. That means every time we go up 2, we go over 3, and we're going to end up back on this line. And that's what they mean by a constant rate of change. Okay, let's do a next one. Let's try, let me see if I can find a negative slope. Let me see if I can find negative slope. There we go, right there. Let's try number 3. Okay, so let's run through this and try to find, first of all, I can't remember how to do this problem. I see this graph on my GED exam, and I need to identify what's important. There's 3 things that's important when they give you an equation of a line, okay? The y-intercept, the slope, and the equation of the line. Because again, this tells you these important things in the given. So even though this doesn't say anything, it's giving us the line. So what's the first thing that's given from this, from number 3?
The y-intercept.
The y-intercept. So B, which is the y-intercept, is what?
+4.
+4. So B is +4, or 0, 4. So if x is 0, y is 4. Okay, so that's the first thing we know. What's the second thing that we need in order to find the equation of this line?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. Again, we're going to write our formula down. Rise over run. Now, we do have 1 point. How many points do we need in order to find the slope of this line?
2.
2. So what other point should I use? What other point should I use?
Your slope would be negative, right?
How do you know it's negative?
Because you can't go up. You'll go over
No,
the
just
graph.
because. Okay, just because you can't go up doesn't mean why your slope is negative. So what you want to do is from left to right. Is it going up or down? So since from left to right, so let me draw a big arrow here. I'm gonna do green. So from left to right, so this is the leftmost side of this line. I'm going what direction?
Down.
Down. That's what tells you the slope is negative. Okay, if left to right, if I was going up, we would have a positive slope. So right away, we already know that this slope is going to be negative. But my question to you is, how can I figure out my second point so I can calculate my slope? Let me ask you a question. Can I use this point here? Is this, oops. Let me ask you a question real quick. First of all, is this a point on the line?
No.
Yes. No, that is a point on the line, but we don't want to use it to figure out the slope. Just like this is a point on the line, but we don't want to use it because we don't know in between what those values are. So this is why we want to find a point that corresponds to whole numbers on the x and y axis. So as I'm going down, tell me when I should stop. Because visually you should be able to tell.
Go down 7 to -3.
Okay, go down 7 to -3. So down to -3, and then what? Over to what?
Over 3.
over 3. So this is what's important. Identify that second point. Let me make this, let me draw my line. And we got to go 1, 2, 3. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me undo. I let the mouse go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our rise would be what? What would our rise be?
-7 over 3.
-7 over 3. Okay, so no, our rise is -7. What would our run be?
3.
3. So again, we have -7 plus 3. Our slope is -7 over 3. What would be the equation of our line?
Y equals -7 over 3x plus 4.
Plus 4. That easy. That easy. That easy. So again, so what did we do tonight? First of all, we found the slope from slope-intercept form, y equal mx plus b. We found the slope from standard form, ax plus by equals c, where our slope was -a over b, and our y-intercept was c over b. And then we found the equation of a line from a graph. So let's try one more before we leave this evening. So let me save this so I can clear it. Let's try one more before we leave, and let's see how fast or slow we can get this. Let's look at number 4. Okay. So, what do we know? First of all, is this slope positive or negative? So from left to right, is it going up or down?
Up.
Up. So right away, we know the slope is positive. So if you have multiple choice, you can get rid of the negative answers right there. So even if you didn't know, identifying whether the slope is positive or negative allows you to get rid of 2 of the answers. Okay, so it's a positive slope. What is our y-intercept?
-4.
Our y-intercept is -4, where it crosses the y-axis. So 0, comma, -4. How can we find the slope? What point should we use? What point should we use?
Go up. Can you go up 4
You should
over
go,
1?
okay, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that positive or -4?
Positive.
+4. And you said go to the right 1, correct?
Yes.
You said to the right 1. There we go. There's our point. Let me get my point right there. Let's draw a second point. So if our rise was +4 and our run was +1, what is our slope?
4 over 1.
But what can we simplify 4 over 1 to?
4. 4.
4. 4. So what would our equation of the line be?
Y equals 4x minus 4.
Perfect. There you go. And again, on your GED exam, you have to be ready for them to show you a graph, and you have to be able to identify what the y-intercept is, what the equation is. Linear equations are probably going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 questions on your exam, almost up to 25% of your exam. They're going to ask you for the slope from 2 points. They're going to ask you to find an equation of a line, either from a table, a graph, or in this case, we did it from a graph. So you have to be prepared in order to pass your GED exam. Any questions before we leave for the night? Any questions before? Let's see if I can find another question fairly quickly. Let's see. From a graph, let's see. That's perpendicular. We'll go over that on another night, of course. And I don't see one from this GED study guide right now, but if you notice, you'll see quite a few linear equations on this GED study guide. If you don't have it, make sure you go to GED.com, download the GED study guide for mathematics. It's about 46 pages long, but it's worth downloading it and going over every single problem. And this is where I got this from GED.com. Let's see. I was trying to find another one. You notice there's quite a few linear equations. There's an algebraic expression. There's another algebraic expression. Okay. And again, we'll go over these most commonly missed questions. We'll almost do this entire guide before we finish. But that's it for tonight. I was trying to find another problem. I did get a lot of questions about quadratic equations too, so we'll be going over that fairly soon. We did that one already. Okay, so I'll make sure I find some other ones next time for our linear equations. But again, for tonight, we found the slope from an equation, slope-intercept form and standard form, and we also found the linear equation from a graph. Any questions before we leave tonight?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I hope this helps, and I'll see you next week. Everybody have a good night.
You do the same. You too, Anna.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Mr.
Bye,
T.
Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Good evening, Diana.